As we all know, retro and modern video game collecting can be a very, very expensive hobby, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. In this video today, I'm going to show you how I've added bits into my collection for a cheap price in 2023. All of the pickups in today's video are under £5, and this is cheap retro and modern game collecting in 2023.
Game pickups! Road trips! Live game hunting! Oh yeah!
Hello again folks, and welcome back to another Game Pickups episode. And this episode is very special as I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks that I've used to add cheap games into my collection. This is the thing, game collecting can be very expensive, and yes, some of those big ticket items are very, very expensive, but you still can get a bargain even in 2023. And all of the pickups in today's video are under £5. It just goes to show that cheap game collecting is still possible in 2023. If you enjoy this kind of content, please hit that like button and remember to subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week like this video, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, into our first £5 pickup for the collection. When you think about the Nintendo Switch, you don't really think about cheap gaming. It's definitely one of the more expensive consoles to collect for, and it's very rare there's actually games on sale for this console. But you will not believe I actually managed to get a game for the Nintendo Switch for under £5. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily the best game of all time, but this game was £5 exactly, delivered from Curry's PC World. It is Advent Calendar for the Nintendo Switch. Definitely not the most exciting title of all time, but one of these really weird, obscure titles. This is one of those titles that I wonder in like 20 years time it's going to be rare because no one cared about it. I think it's just basically a collection of mini games for each day of the Advent Calendar leading up to Christmas. I will probably keep this one sealed, or probably until I find someone who has a desire to play this on the lead up to Christmas. It may not be the greatest game ever for the Switch, but it is a Nintendo Switch game under £5. It may also surprise you it's actually possible to already get cheap games for the PlayStation 5. I picked up my PlayStation 5 late last year, and since then I've been adding loads of games into the collection. It's just so exciting collecting for a brand new console. But you can still get a bargain for the PlayStation 5. And this is the next tip I have for you. Keep an eye on Amazon flash deals. Periodically, Amazon will absolutely slash the price on certain games and they'll get super cheap. So, up until now, this is the cheapest PlayStation 5 game I've ever managed to find, Balan Wonderland. Yes, it is a game I've heard very, very mixed things about, but it is a brand new and sealed, delivered next day from Amazon Prime game for the PlayStation 5. And this is an RPG by Square Enix, and I just can't really see how this has gone so wrong. I haven't played this game yet. I haven't really looked that much into this game. It just came up on Amazon for £5. I thought, do you know what? For £5, I'll take the risk. But let me know, if you've played this game, is it as bad as everyone says? As I said then, that was the cheapest PlayStation 5 game I've ever bought, until another game came up on a flash sale on Amazon. This game foreclosed for the PlayStation 5. And as soon as I read the description of this one, I knew I definitely wanted to pick it up for the collection. This was a few pence cheaper than Balan Wonderland, so this is now the cheapest game I've ever bought for the PlayStation 5, and perhaps the cheapest game I've ever seen for the PlayStation 5. And this again is brand new, sent next day with Amazon Prime. So this looks really cool. I'm a massive fan of all things Cyberpunk, and I think this is like an interactive novel. It sounds really, really exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to jumping into this one, and trust me, it just goes to show, even if you are playing on the newest hardware, on the newest console, you can still get cheap games in 2023. I think we can all agree, it is quite surprising you can get games for both the PlayStation 5 and the Nintendo Switch for under £5 in 2023. But it's not just the modern consoles you can get an amazing deal on, and it's even some of the more obscure consoles. So this year I'm really focusing on collecting for the Mega CD. And you're probably saying, Dan, you cannot get anything for the Mega CD for under £5. Well, no, this one is very close. This was $5.99, but I think this is worth bringing up because the way I found this game is by using eBay, and I use a very specific way to do this periodically. I will go on newly listed items because if something is up for a super cheap price, it will go super quick. And that is how I managed to get this copy of Thunderhawk for the Mega CD. And this thing is in absolutely incredible condition. It's one of the hardest things with Mega CDs is getting the games in good condition, boxed and complete with the manual and the game. And that's the thing. This way of doing eBay has worked for me before, because if people put something up cheap, it does not stick around long. Trust me, this is a good tip to get some cheap games in 2023. Just a very quick one here. When I saw this game, Thunderhawk, up on eBay, I thought I already had it in my collection. That's because I had this game already, Cobra Command. Like, look how similar these games are. It is absolutely crazy that two games released for the same console with roughly the same kind of game mechanic could look so very, very similar. Here is another tip for getting a cheap game deal on eBay. It is the ending soonest method. Simply go into that search bar and just search for games that are ending soonest. This way you can either get games that no one's bid on, or you can snipe last minute and get a good deal and steal some from under someone's nose. So I've done this quite often. Recently I've been doing it for the Xbox 360 because it seems you can get some really cheap games for this at the moment. So I picked up this copy of Murdered Sole Suspect for just a couple of quid. And here is the thing, if no one bids on these games, or you just outbid somebody at the end, you can get a very good deal. A lot of people will just bid the 99p starting bid, and then you can bid like £1.20 and get yourself a bargain. eBay is getting harder to find a bargain, but this is a really good way, especially if you bid last minute. I also use this method to get this copy of Jedi Fallen Order. Yes, I know this game is on Games Pass, but I'm a physical games collector, and trust me, when a game hits Games Pass, it will get cheap very, very quick. And again, I use that ending soonest method for this game, and I think I picked this up for under £3. This is the thing, a lot of eBay auctions run 24 hours a day, and especially at some of the stranger times of day when people are working or in the middle of the night. If you are one of those last minute bidders, you can get an absolutely amazing deal, like picking this up very, very cheap. Here's one final tip for cheap game collecting on eBay in 2023. It is for the Nintendo 64, and it's all about getting boxed and complete games for the N64. Now, of course, you can't really go on eBay and find a boxed and complete N64 game for under £5. If you can, please comment below. That would be the most incredible deal of all time. What you can do is get a good deal on just the boxes. One way to kind of make yourself a CIB N64 game is to buy the box, the manual, even the game separately, and that's what I did with this copy of F-Zero X. So I bought just the outer box on eBay. I already have the cartridge for this game. Sadly, it also doesn't have the manual, but I'm sure I can find the manual pretty cheap online. I picked this one up very cheap. You can buy the cartridge separately very cheap, and it can be a cheaper way to make a complete in-box game rather than buying it all in one go. Yes, it involves a little bit more work, but if you're into cheap game collecting, you got to put in that grind. As you probably know by now, I'm a massive fan of collecting strategy guides and video game art books. These can normally be found quite cheap, but one of my favourite ones are the hardback art books. I just think these are absolutely amazing ways to look into your games a little bit deeper. And one of the best websites for buying these from at the moment is the Forbidden Planet website. So they have a pretty vast selection on there of art books for just £5 each. Yes, you have to pay delivery on top, but there's a flat delivery rate of £5 regardless of how many books you buy. So I bought a couple of books this time. Remember, these were all £5 each. First off, we have this art book for Halo 4. It is an absolutely beautiful book. It is thick and heavy. It may not be my favourite Halo game of all time, probably be my least favourite Halo game of all time, but the artwork in this game is absolutely breathtaking, and picking this book up for a £5 is an absolute bargain. Next up we have this one, once again picked up for £5, The Art of XCOM 2. One of the hardest games I think I've ever played, but again, the artwork in this game is absolutely amazing. This is a fantastic book to add to collection for just £5. Finally, we have The Art of Immortals Phoenix Rising. So this art book again was £5, and I reckon you can probably pick up the game for about £5 as well. It's kind of a little bit like Zelda with more kind of Greek mythology, and I think it has a really cool art style. So picking up the art book is a really good deal. Here is the thing though, trust me, have a look on Forbidden Planet's website. There are loads of art books on there for £5. It is well worth checking them out, as normally these retail for anything from £25 to £30. So £5 each is an absolute bargain. Our final pickups are from Facebook Marketplace. One of the most challenging places to pick things up from these days. Stuff moves on here so very, very quickly, and I had to jump on this deal pretty much as soon as it went up. Xbox One games for just £2 each. and I managed to pick up 3 amazing titles, the third of which I got for an absolute bargain price. So first off, we have UFC on the Xbox One. And I haven't actually played a UFC game in absolute years, probably since the original Xbox. I've been able to pick this game up for £2. While it isn't the best deal ever, it isn't too bad. This also sells in CX for £2, but if I was going to pick up some games, I wanted to pick up a couple, so I thought I'd just grab this one for £2. Then I also picked up UFC 2. So this one sells in CX in a minute for £4, so picking this up for £2 is a really good deal. But both of these pale in comparison to the fact that I picked up Resident Evil 3 for £2 off Facebook Marketplace. This game is over 15 quid in CX, so picking this up for £2 is an absolute bargain. It just proves there are still amazing deals on Facebook Marketplace, but they go so incredibly fast. I think there are also people who are using apps now to track these items as soon as they go up. Now, I don't use these. I just kind of browse Facebook Marketplace as and when I can, especially if I'm on a day off and there's things in the area I can pick up that day. You are more likely to get the deals. But to pick up Resident Evil 3 in 2023 for £2 off Facebook Marketplace is an absolute bargain. But these deals pale in comparison to this final PlayStation 1 pickup. I got this massive bundle for £5. Here we have it then, our final pickup this time, our final cheap game pickup in 2023 so far. This PlayStation 1 bundle for just £5 for all these games. And I think this is the quickest I've ever picked something up off Facebook Marketplace. As soon as I saw this, I said I could be there within an hour and left the person to mark it as sold, so no one else could jump into this one. And look at the quality of games we have here. So first of all, we have a copy of Gran Turismo. This is missing the front cover, so I'm not really classing that one. Next up, we have this copy of Pong for the PlayStation 1. Here is the thing, all of these games are boxed and complete, and I need all of these for the collection. Next up, Colin McRae Rally for the PlayStation 1, of course. Formula 1 99. One thing that surprised me about these games is what amazing condition they're all in. Like, the boxes look so pristine. We have Ready to Rumble, absolutely fantastic boxing game for the PlayStation 1. A game I've never played on the PlayStation 1, Mission Impossible. I only ever played this on the N64. Finally, probably the most valuable game in this selection, Croc 2. I was actually surprised how much this game fetches at the moment. And even better, if you haven't seen my more recent videos, I'm going for a complete Platinum Games collection for the PlayStation 1. And here we have 2 games to check off this list. Firstly, we have Crash Team Racing. Yes, this has a little bit of sticker damage on the front, but don't worry, some Goo Gone will definitely get rid of that one. And finally, a real heavy hitter, Grand Theft Auto Platinum for the PlayStation 1. One of my favourite games on the PlayStation 1, and this is just an incredible one to be able to cross off this list. And here is one of the most satisfying bits about this Platinum Collection project, is crossing the games off the list. Every single game we cross off this list is one step closer to our final goal of getting that complete UK release of Platinum Games Collection. It's going to be a long road, but trust me, it's going to be a lot of fun along the way. There we have it then, folks. They are my cheap game pickups of 2023 so far. Remember, all of those items were £5 and under, except for one. And it just goes to show, game collecting can still be cheap in 2023. But let me know down in the comments below, what is your best deal so far of 2023? Have you managed to get anything cheaper than I have for your game collection? And also, let me know any tips or tricks you have for cheap game collecting in 2023. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.